Well, oh, you're
You'll
busy
have to
right
resign from office afterwards.
You want me to start, sir?
If you would, please.
If I would, please, okay. All right, hey, thanks, guys, good to see you guys again. You might have heard about FT8. It's, as Ed just mentioned, it was in, or somebody mentioned it was on the cover or in the last 4 issues of QST, some in CQ as well, but it's a new issue, a new weak signal mode developed that's really taken off. So my first question is, I know Rob has been on FT8. Anybody else? You been on FT8?
So is this taking over for 31? PSK 31?
In my opinion, yes, and it's replaced JT65 in a lot of respects. People are flocking to it, and we'll see why. But anyway, one of the reasons I got into it is there were 2 basically. I like new things. I like to explore and then understand and discover new things. And throughout my 50+ years, 52 years in ham radio, that's always been one of the stalwarts of just learning new things all the time. The second was because my QRP Works partner and I, Steve, were trying to figure out if there was an opportunity for a product here. So I needed to learn it and understand it in all its detail to figure out if there's something we could do to enhance the operating of FT8. By the way, the answer is no. But because you'll see it's pretty self-contained and very easy to use. So without further ado, let's talk about FT8. FT8 is a new weak signal digital mode developed by Steve Frank, K9AN, and Joe Taylor, K1JT, and it's released just this past June. It's this year. It uses 8 FSK modulation. So if you notice on the, I don't know if you can see this little pointer here. Not really. But anyway, F in Frank, C in Taylor, 8 in 8 FSK gives you FT8. That's the genesis of the name. Joe is a Nobel Prize winner in physics from Princeton University. He originally developed weak signal modes for JT9, JT65, FSK 441, media scatter, which I have used in the past and tried, and more. If you're familiar with JT65, it takes a little while to make a QSOs, 1-minute sequences. This is 4 times faster than JT65 and sacrifices just a bit of sensitivity. JT65 is a bit more sensitive, but this is what we call in ham radio damn good. JT65, you do 60-second transmit, receive. This is 15 seconds, transmit, receive. Rinse and repeat. You just keep on doing that over and over and over again. The software does it automatically for you. So, what's the big deal? Why is this so in the news in such a short time, where the other digital modes have been in the news, but not taken off like this? In these days, with very few or no sunspots, very poor conditions typically, you get on the bands and they pretty much seem dead. I've had trouble making QSOs and sideband and CW, and really sometimes just nobody there. Being retired now, I get to do this during the day, and it used to be easier, and now it's much tougher. In my opinion, this effectively raises the maximum usable frequency, the MUF. MUF is a statistical number that says you can probably get somebody at this maximum frequency. Assuming, or knowing that FT8 uses or needs a lot less signal strength, if you get less reflection from the ionosphere, you can still make QSOs, where if you're on CW or sideband, you wouldn't hear a thing. But FT8 can hear down much lower, 20, 24 dB lower than some other things. Very easy to set up and use, and it's free. No reason not to do it. The QSOs, like the other digital modes like JT65 and FSK 441 and things, they're rather mechanical with preset limited sequence of information. So it's not a chatty type of thing. You can change a couple of characters here. You have a 13-character limit. You can change a few things. It's not as efficient when you do that, and some people do that. But it's mostly prefixed, preset information going back and forth. But the important thing for me is it allows you to make QSOs where otherwise you'd be lonesome on the air. I started in mid-September. September 19th was the date I think I started. Since then I have over 2,300 QSOs in the log. You can do it with high power, you can do it with low power. Now it's a weak signal mode, but weak signal has nothing to do with what you're transmitting. It has everything to do with what you're receiving. So if you're putting out 100 watts and the guy in Kazakhstan is receiving a fraction of that. It's weak on his end. It doesn't matter what you're sending. So you could have a really bad antenna, very inefficient antenna. You could have really poor conditions, which is very easy these days. So you could start out with a lot of high power and wind up with hardly anything at the other side of the world. Yet they'll hear you. Where if you were in sideband of CW, they won't. My power has changed depending on the conditions and who I'm trying to get. Anything from 100 watts down to 1 watt. I've got a very compromised antenna. I've got homeowner association restrictions. Oh, thank you. I've got restrictions, so I've got some wires hidden outside, so I don't have a lot of options. But I've gone down to 1 watt on 40 meters on those, and I have a terrible 40 meter antenna and make QSOs. Yesterday, this past couple of days, I was out in Buena Vista at W0LSD's cabin at Lost Creek Ranch. Go out there often in the winter time. It's got a massive station there. It's got 3 IC7600s, amplifiers, 85-foot tower with 412 beams on top. I set up with this Alex loop right here on the porch and my KX3 on the kitchen counter and making contact, just more fun. And my last contact before I left there yesterday, this is about 24 hours ago, was with Norway. And I'm running, at the time I cranked my KX3 all the way up to 13 watts, a bit more than QRP, I apologize. But it's amazing.
Let it go this time.
Sorry?
Let it go this time.
Yeah. All right, so the way this works, like in the other digital modes, you transmit for a certain amount of time, you listen for a certain amount of time. Here, assuming at the top of the chart here, 00, the start of the minute, you transmit for 15 seconds and you listen for 15. Rinse and repeat. Transmit for 15, listen for 15. Now, which 15 seconds? You have your choice. You can start here at the top at 00, or you can start transmitting at 15. If you start transmitting at 00, it's called the even or first group, and the second group, I guess, would be odd or second. I saw someone write early on in FT8 that they recommend that if you're transmitting east, you start at the even, transmitting west, you start at the odd, and that's what they use for media scatter. But if I'm putting up a vertical or I have a dipole, I have no idea where I'm going to be transmitting and who I'm going to contact. So I don't find that applicable at all. So you just pick one. You can choose whether you want to start at 00 or 15. It really doesn't matter. Because if somebody's listening, they're going to be listening to the whole thing.